everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Sunday Sit Downs, the show where anything goes and nothing gets left behind. I am Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome, but you knew that already because some of you have been watching this show on my channel since episode 1 aired 3 years ago. And I just want to say that I am eternally grateful for all of you who sat down and watched me with a fantastic YouTuber or YouTubers discussing a very awesome topic of discussion. We really covered it all. But for the final episode, I really wanted to try and tackle a very important topic because it really sums up the last 10 years of me being a content creator on YouTube. And that is just being your genuine self. But it's not just me that's going to be here today. I have got two incredible people joining me today because these two lovely women are probably two of my biggest fans through this community. They have really come to my aid when I needed somebody to talk to or just someone to give me some thoughts on my content. And I've also had the pleasure of meeting one of them in person. So one of you has actually come on this show already. So it's really great to have Cami from Cami's Corner back. But it is also amazing to finally have my friend Stacy from her original channel, Stacy's Stories, here on my channel. Cami, Stacy, good afternoon to the both of you. It is so wonderful to have the both of you joining me for this very special series finale.
Hi, Steve.
Thanks for having
me again. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as always, I have 7 questions, and I'm really curious about where we're going to go because this is a very general topic, but it can be very specific at the same time because when we all decide that we want to do something here on YouTube, and it's not just about YouTube, it's really any kind of project that we want to take on that at some point in time we're going to be willing to share with others, whether it's family members or close friends, or even people that we've never met before. Who knows where it's going to go? I, for one, when I started my channel back in 2011, had no idea that I would actually meet my friend Stacy in person and actually spend a day with her and my wife in the National Mall in Washington, D.C., which is amazing as always. And I never would have imagined that one day I would receive a Funko Pop package in the mail from another friend in Cami, which is just one of the greatest things that ever happened as far as my experience here and the relationships that I've built. So the first question that I want to talk to you both about in regards to being your genuine self is, what is it about being your genuine self that adds to the YouTube experience? Stacy, if it's okay, since you haven't done this before, I'd like you to take this question first.
I think if you're not being your genuine self, you're going to have a miserable time and you're not going to want to stay. If you're acting and, putting on a persona and doing things to please other people, you're going to be unhappy fast and you're not going to want to continue.
That's a very good answer. Cami, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Stacy in terms of, you have to be your genuine self in order for you to come through anything. And I think that so often when you're starting off as a content creator, you find yourself watching other creators, like what are they doing? Where are they sitting? What's behind them? You're picking up on all these cues. And I think a lot of the times people get lost in that shuffle trying to emulate someone else. And it's so important, especially for new content creators, to understand the importance of being your genuine self, because that allows you to stand above everyone else and to stand out from everyone else and not be a cookie cutter, carbon copy, and be the same type of content that everyone is seeing. I think that it comes with time though, because, as you're just getting comfortable with sitting in front of the camera and you're getting comfortable with speaking and putting presentations together and your content together, it becomes easier to let who you are show and shine. And I think that, it's perfectly okay for that to come in a cycle and to come within its own time.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, You know, when I started doing this, I never would have imagined that YouTube would be more than just me putting up videos talking about things that I loved. But also, I think one of the few things that I always knew when I wanted to create a YouTube channel for myself was I just wanted to talk about the things that I love, the things that I'm so passionate about, because I have so many thoughts on so many things that I enjoy, and I just want to get them out there and I want to share them with the world. And it's funny because when I decided that I wanted to start helping other people, I always just say to people, you've got to just be happy with what you're doing. This is your channel. Make it what you want it to be. Don't necessarily turn it into what your watchers want. I mean, it's so funny, especially when it comes to new people who are subscribed to me. And I get questions from them that I still remember getting when I first started making this channel. I mean, someone actually sent me a comment in one of my newer videos asking, why don't you just get a high-res camera? You just look so weird. Like, it just doesn't look nice and professional. And I basically said to this person, like, listen, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's not a matter of how good your camera is. It's not a matter of how great your lighting is. The purpose of making your video and having it enjoyed by other people is the person that's actually talking on the camera. If that person is going to come to you with things that you can enjoy, what you can relate to, that's really all that matters. I mean, look, I'm not going to hide this. Cammie, you have critiqued me in very good ways. I appreciate your constructive criticism all the time because I know you're doing that not to be nasty. You're trying to help me because you enjoy my channel. You love what I talk about. But at the same time, it's just like, this isn't my day job. I mean, considering the fact that we're here talking about how this is the last Sunday sit down and how what I've been doing for the last 10 years is going to go in a completely different direction. So I never really felt the need to really get like the most expensive thing. It just wasn't it. I just like, as long as I just enjoy what I'm doing and talk about the things I want to talk about, how could this be bad?
But I think that's an important thing also to understand as a new content creator, because, and I know this kind of really is a separate subject, but you really have to ask yourself why you're here. And that really helps lead you to being your genuine self. Because if your intent is to be a content creator and hit a certain sub count or make this your day job or reach a monetary status, then yeah, you are going to want to invest in lighting and a high resolution camera and change up your background and your content. You know, keep it on a certain niche and consistency, because all of these things help to have a continuity and help growth in a quick fashion. In the same respect though, some of us just want to get on here and talk about, you know, things that we collect, our hobbies and our interests. And sometimes it does, or sometimes you do get lucky and it does lead you to a point where you're able to still talk about what you love and grow an audience, but you're not doing it for a subscriber count or, you know, a number of likes. You're just doing it because you want to do it and you like to do it. And if all of that follows it, great, you know, that's a bonus. But I think so often you see people get caught up in the numbers game and it takes the fun right out of it. And it's just really unfortunate. It really does drain a lot of energy from a lot of really great people who doubt their abilities and their creativity skills because somebody leaves a comment like that and they dwell on that negativity. We just need to bypass the negativity and focus on the good, you know, pull out the positive stuff in our comments and move forward with that. But that's a whole other can of worms that I've learned to deal with.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, Stacy, you haven't really made a video in a very long time, and you know that the minute that one's going to pop up, you know that you're going to get a comment from me because I really do appreciate you as a content creator as well. But I'm assuming that it's a mixed bag, a whole bunch of things that have basically just haven't gotten you in front of the camera in a while.
I found that throughout this year of not really trying to review books as I was reading them and trying to, you know, talk intelligently about them on camera and worry about editing the video and uploading the video. I really enjoyed reading the actual books a lot more without all the other stuff. And yeah, I think I lost my love for reading while being a booktuber, and I regained my love for reading while taking a break from being a booktuber. So I don't know if I'm going to come back or not, but it's been eye-opening, to say the least. You know, I learned a lot. I made really good friends.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not alone on that. I mean, that was one of the things that I even spoke to Cammie about, because I mean, look, Cammie and I, we talk all the time, and Stacy, I know that you're very busy, but you know that I'm always willing to talk to you. I mean, you really have become one of my nearest and dearest friends, Cammie as well. But the thing is, it's just, there were a lot of people that gave me a reason to come back to YouTube and watch videos. And just like yourself, I'm not going to name names, but a lot of people who I truly appreciated and respected for what they did were gone for a while. They just weren't making their content anymore. And ironically, in the booktube community, it was a lot of the same reasons that you just mentioned. But now, little by little, I see some of these familiar faces trickling back in. But the best part is when they turned that camera back on, they basically said, don't expect the cookie cutter. You're going to get me and only me. And I'm like, bravo. Do what you want to do. Talk about what you want to talk about. That's being your genuine self. When you officially give yourself to the masses, and the masses are going to mold you into what they want you to be, that's really what allows your passion to dwindle and possibly be extinguished. Me going in the new direction is not just that. It's just because I have some other priorities that I really want to focus on outside of the YouTube world. And quite frankly, like a television show, I think that 10 years in one singular format is an accomplishment on itself. So let's go into the second question. And that is, Cammie, we'll start with you on this one. Do you ever have any hesitations about being open with practical strangers? I mean, I'm going to guess that to a certain degree the answer is no, because at one point in time, the three of us were all strangers. But isn't it possible that that line is, a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet?
Yes, and I think that has changed very rapidly for me in the last month. And it's sad, but I have actually had some anxiety recently, even accepting new friends or followers into certain circles in social media because of what happened to me in November. I think that when I got involved in this YouTube creation idea, I didn't know what I was stepping into. I just knew that my intent of starting a creation channel was to find like-minded people. And when I say like-minded people, I don't mean exactly like me. I just mean book people, you know, people that love to read as much as I do, people that have the same kind of passion for literature that I do. And in that, I was able to find a lot of content creators that had a lot of other passions that I do. Funko Pops, Disney, comic books, you know, you name it. There's a ton of people out there that I've connected with for different reasons. And I don't just follow the book community. I follow a lot of different people. But in accepting people that are complete strangers, you're taking a risk. You're putting yourself out there. And I think that this comes up a lot with content creators, where you see people get on camera and people handle the emotions in different ways. But I've seen people get angry. I've seen people cry. I've seen people really just clam up and apologize for, you know, just who they are and what they feel that they should be doing. And, you know, putting yourself out in a public forum doesn't mean you have to expose everything about yourself. And that in and of itself is kind of a scary, teetering thing, because then people are like, well, are you being shady? Are you hiding something? Is there something that we need to know? And it's like, you only need to know what I care to share with you. And if we happen to become friends, and honestly, the term friends is so precious to me now, because there's people that I genuinely consider to be friends within this community that have shown their true colors in the last few months. And it's heartbreaking to me, because I would have done anything for those people, and I have never even met them. And then to see how I was treated, and those people still don't know me from Adam, it just baffles my mind. So I think it's important to still keep that idea of hope that you can meet perfect strangers that will become friends, that there are still genuine people out there that are giving you their genuine true selves that will, you know, eventually become friends. But I just say use that with a grain of caution, because salt looks a lot like sugar.
Oh, wow. I never heard of that before. That's amazing. I like that reference.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm using it. Can I use that? May I use that?
Take it, run with it.
Thank you, my friend. No, I agree. I totally agree, because there have been some people that I've actually met from various YouTube communities, and also like very recently, some of them just stopped talking to me because of certain ways that they perceived me and certain things that I've said. But that's the beauty of being your individual self. You don't have to think like everybody else. Everybody's allowed to have their individual train of thought. I mean, the fact that we have friendships based on individual commonalities is wonderful, but the most important thing is that one difference that you have should not be the make or break of a relationship. Have I burned bridges in the past when it comes to friendships? Yes, the answer is yes. But the reason why that has happened is because someone royally screwed me over. Or am I going to say that I haven't done the same? Absolutely not. I have done some bad things to some people, sometimes willingly, unfortunately, sometimes not. But, you know, that's unfortunately what makes us human. We have emotions, and emotions, unfortunately, sometimes will make us do bad things. Like I've always say to people, I'm glad you're my friend because you would hate to be my enemy, because
I wouldn't want to be Cammy's enemy.
no, but it's just like I
I
basically
am kind of mean. I really am. And I think that sometimes my kindness gets mistaken for weakness, because I'll say some stuff sometimes and Stacy's like, where did that come from? Because Stacy and I talk offline all the time. And she's just like, you are a pistol. You're a little fire ant. And I'm like, I am. And, you know, again, it's who I am, but it's all in due time. You know, if someone deserves that side of me, oh, no holds bar, I will let it out. I will definitely let that side of me shine.
well, that's what,
Yep.
well, that's a lesson that I've always learned from my father, and I take it very much to heart. And that is, when somebody hits you, you hit back. And that's something that I will always say, like, you don't want me to hit you back, because I will fight dirty, and I do. But believe me, there are some days where I will come home from work and I will vent to Jen. And some of the things that come out of my mouth, she's like, please do not say that to that person. Do not do that. She's like, you're going to get screwed. I'm like, Jen, I'm not going to do it. But this is how I feel, plain and simple. But, you know, it's so funny, because when you take a look at what YouTube has become, I think what the most interesting thing is, when YouTube really started, it was like people were coming on to be content creators, but especially when you watch a lot of BookTube newbie tags, the one thing that you always see when someone's joining the community is they're looking for friends. This is where our ages, all three of us, our ages are going to start showing, because we come from a time where people were saying, do not disclose who you are on the internet. You have no idea who's on the other side.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. They're the ones with the dirty white van with the word candy with the backwards K and the upside down N. But the point that I'm making here is, like, the new generation has basically taken the internet and flipped it on its head. Like, now this is where people go to find their friends. Because what's so interesting is, especially when it comes to the BookTube community, have you noticed that whenever someone joins the community and does the newbie tag, almost always someone says, my friends don't read?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've seen that.
that is such a crazy statistic. It's so strange to me. But
My friends don't read.
yeah, I mean, my wife is a
I
very
don't
avid
have
reader.
very many friends, so
I've made some of my best friends I've made online on YouTube. You guys, I've met both of you in person and had a blast. So, and I talk to both of you regularly. And I have another really good friend, Steve. You know who she is. I went to her wedding in Texas.
Absolutely,
So,
I miss her terribly.
Yeah, so I've made really good friends from this platform. But, and I guess I'm lucky in a sense, I don't feel like I've really made any enemies, but I think that's because I do keep quiet on a lot of things. I don't stir the pot, and I just kind of back away quietly when I see things stirring. You know, I kind of like go to my little corner and stay quiet because I'm not confrontational. And so I've managed to not make enemies that I'm aware of, but it comes with me having to really keep quiet and not voice my opinions on a lot of things for fear I'm going to get backlash. So it's like, are they really my friends or not? If I'm scared to say who I really am in front of them for fear they're not going to like me anymore. So yeah, you get really good friends and then you get kind of like iffy friends and then you can get real enemies. So it's just like real life, really.
My attitude
But you hit
is,
the nail on the head though, Steve, when you said earlier that all the new content creators, when they get on here, one of the first things that you hear them say is that they're here to make friends. In addition to the generation that we grew up with, you know, the stranger danger, don't share a lot because we're afraid of what's going to get taken or, you know, stolen from us or what have you. We're also a little bit more apprehensive to, I guess, come forward with not so much masking our true selves, but the full gambit of what we are, because we came here with an intent. We came here with, you know, I want to talk about this.
yes.
And then you're scrutinized later because you don't share the gambit of things. And then you see down the line, and this is one of the big reasons why I disregarded Twitter and got off Twitter, is because of the fact that there are so many subtweet and arguments and just spawned hate that happens on there because people assume that because you say one thing, they know everything about you. And so it makes you become introverted and you don't want to share things. And then, you know, there are times that I have went to bat for people. And I think, you know, Stacy mentioned it, you know, we try to be calm and collective or what have you, in terms of being reserved, I guess, in some regard. And that's just because, again, we're protecting our true selves. But the only times that I have ever had confrontation is when I'm defending someone else, and then it ends up back to is on who you trust, because you're only one step away from your next betrayal in this area.
It's funny that you mentioned, Stacy, non-confrontational. There are so many people that I've met over the years that basically say, I don't like confrontation. You know something? I always say I thrive on confrontation. And the reason why is because I want people to really, I feel that when you bring up a very controversial subject, whether it's with a friend or whether it's with just a general person, you know, like, let me tell you the God's honest truth. You know how people always say, don't talk about politics in the workplace? I do it every goddamn day. And the reason why I do that is because I want to exercise the ability to have a mature, understanding conversation with the other side, because I want them to know that even though I may not be on your side, it's not that I don't respect you as a person. That's my goal in life. My goal in life right now is to make sure that even though I may not think exactly like you, it doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge yourself as a decent human being. And I know that just because of the fact we disagree on something, that does not make you an asshole. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I gave my thoughts on the recent election. I clearly mentioned who I voted for. And the fact that people looked at me as some kind of a monster, I'm like, wait a minute. You didn't think about me like that for the last 4 or 5 fucking years? And now all of a sudden, because I did one thing that gets you to fly off your seat in agony, that makes me a completely different person?
Yes, but that's not how people see it, because you need to analyze the cultivation of social media. In order to do this, we need to take a look back. When Facebook and, I mean, we can even take it back to MySpace, but MySpace doesn't really count because we really didn't see it till Facebook. When Facebook first cultivated, we were only friending people that we genuinely knew in real life and that were family members. And then we got kind of a little bit more caviar, what's that?
Cavalier.
Cavalier. Not cavalier. I'm all over here with caviar like I'm rich or something. I've never even seen this stuff in person.
I wouldn't even if I was
we got
rich.
a little bit more cavalier. And we started friending people that we worked with, that we knew in passing, that maybe we met at a concert or at an event. Oh, I'm on Facebook, friend me. Okay, so then that's all well and good because we're making new friends, right? But then that takes me back to the comment that I just made a few minutes ago with the generational gap of people that you see coming on as content creators now, because they're like, oh, I want to be friends with everybody. But there's this misconception of what a true friend is. And there's weird boundaries that kind of get crossed when someone assumes that they're your friend, and then you speak on your own behalf, you speak on, you know, something that's dear to you, and then it's like, oh, but you're betraying me, you're an asshole because you said this, and now you automatically hate me because you think that. No, I don't hate you. You didn't ask me why I thought the way that I thought or why I did what I did. You just assumed that I did what I did because you took it personal. But when we look at the cultivation of the social media, we have cultivated these spaces to get to a point where we can block people, mute people, unfriend people, and do all of these negative things because they don't fit our bubble. They don't fit in our little cortex, because people want people in their social spaces to make their feed happy, which is all well and good. Everybody wants to have unicorn and rainbows and sunshine all the time, but the real world doesn't work like that. The real world is really screwed up, and there's a lot of really ugly things out there. So when you start cultivating a social environment where you are only friending or keeping people in your space that have like-minded mentalities because they think like you, they dress like you, they listen to the same music, they vote like you, they eat the same foods, they drink the same things, then guess what? You're not leaving yourself open to other things that are going on in the world around you. So now you have blinders on. You're like a damn horse, and I'm a horse boarder, so I would know horses don't have peripheral vision. They only see what's in front of them. So now you have a bunch of people walking around only seeing this and not seeing all of this. And the minute you do something that doesn't fit this little narrow-minded mentality, you're the asshole, you're the problem, and you're hateful, racist, all of these other negative connotations that you don't just hear amongst people that you know or know of. You're hearing this everywhere now on the news, other social platforms. It's become the regular narrative. And so now you have these spaces that just continually cultivate this type of environment. We need to get back to being able to speak to people that aren't like us and appreciate and value and respect them, because they're not like us, because they bring something to the table. They are the spice of life. I would rather have friends that are nothing like me, because I know I stand to learn something from them. I stand to look at something from a different perspective, see something from a different point of view, or simply just embrace something through their experience and through their eyes. And if by me doing that is hateful or harmful to somebody else, then maybe we weren't meant to be friends anyways.
Two things on that. First of all, I'm glad you said that, because if I truly was looking for someone to marry that was just like me, it would be like having sex with myself, and who the hell wants that? That's just creepy. And number two, I was always the odd duck when it came to Facebook, because I still remember, I don't even have 150 friends on Facebook. I never have. And I still remember
I don't either.
And I still remember this one time when I was actually cleaning house. I was deleting friends, and my sister saw me doing that, and she goes, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because I'm not talking to these people. What's the point of having them as friends if I'm not talking to them?" The two of you are friends of mine on Facebook, but there's a reason as to why you're friends with me on Facebook. It's because of the fact that you guys gained a certain level of trust. In order to be a friend with me on Facebook, you really need to have shown me that you are someone that I can truly appreciate, respect, and trust. Because I have never been able to hold on to friends as much as other people who are classified as the popular clique, but I cherish the friendships I have. And it's just like, you got to really show me that you're someone who likes me for the person that I am, and not just for some of the things that you see on social media. Coworkers, I never friend. Coworkers, I friend on LinkedIn, and all they see is my professional stuff. My Twitter account is not even linked to my personal space, so you can't even find me in a Google search through my alias on YouTube. And that's because of the fact that there are two separate worlds. My YouTube world is very different from my personal world. You have to really develop a genuine trust with me in order to get to know me outside of the YouTube persona. You two are, consider yourselves the elite few of people that have actually managed to reach that level with me. And, you know, I'm hoping that there will be a day that you and I, Cammie, can finally meet in person, because then I can actually introduce you to Jen, and Jen can actually be comfortable with you, because she doesn't know you. She knows Stacy, but she doesn't know you yet. So anyway,
I told her I'm like a female version of you. I'm a big dork.
I don't know how she would sit with that. I just don't. She's not. She's got her own dorkiness herself. Trust me. I love everything about her. She's wonderful. I mean, Stacy just loves the fact the two of us bicker all the time. She says that's the best part about us.
Is it the never-ending story? The old couple.
Yes.
That are like bickering at the baskets. I think it's oh, what was that guy's name? You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Billy Crystal and his wife. They're really
that's the Princess
couple, and all they do is bicker and
that's the Princess Bride.
Is it Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Okay. That is Steve and Jen. All they do is bicker, but it's so cute. It is so cute. I just like laugh at them the whole time because they just don't stop.
I think it's what makes it interesting. It's fun. It really is. But I want to get into the third question here, and we'll start with Stacy on this one. How do you feel about when you get approached by a fellow content creator looking to build a friendship or just pick your brain for ideas? I mean, I think I was one of those people.
Yeah. You were probably the first person, besides our mutual friend that I went to her wedding, you were probably the first person to reach out to me on YouTube. And I had a channel before Stacy's Stories. I had another channel that was a vlog channel. And that was the channel that we started talking on. I don't mind it at all, or I didn't mind it anytime it happened. So yeah, I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great sense. I think that's what the sense of community is really all about. Cammie, care to elaborate?
Yeah.
You know, up until recently, I was all for that. I'm a little bit more cautious now, and I probably will be for a long time, because there are genuine people that I considered in my circle of trust that showed me otherwise and showed me their true colors. So there's people that I have been connected to for the duration of the 4 years that I've been on this platform. So I honestly, I can tell with the people that I've talked to the most who are genuine friends, who are people that I would actually, you know, put myself out on a limb for. And then there's a lot of people that now I'll just approach with a certain delicacy. I find it flattering though when somebody approaches me for a collaboration. I think that it's really cool because there's something that they see in me that works well with their content. So that's always going to be a positive thing for me. Anytime any creator, I don't care what their level, you know, of followers or subscribers or whatever, that doesn't matter to me. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I've been watching your channel and I want to do this, and they pose an idea, would you be interested in collaborating with me? You know, I might not always say yes, because, you know, it might not work with my schedule or whatever, but it's so flattering to think that, wow, you watched my content and you thought of something to do with me. And in terms of, you know, building friendships, that comes over time. That's not something that I force. That's not something that I just assume is going to be there because we've worked together before or something went really well. I mean, there's plenty of people that I've worked with in the past that I don't consider them a friend. I consider them a good acquaintance, but friendship is such a precious word to me now. And I really do truly hold my friendships at a very genuine level and a very genuine place in my heart. So for me to go from working with someone creatively to considering them a friend, that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of investment on both sides.
Yeah, I think what was really cool was when you were telling me earlier that you actually did do a podcast with Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Like, I actually know her as well. I've actually met her the second time I went to BookCon. And for me, it was like, oh my God, my two worlds were like colliding here. Like, what is happening? This is so cool. I love it because Bethany's wonderful. She's a wonderful person.
She's
You said that
fantastic.
when I told you that we hung out with Derby in Florida.
Oh yeah, Derby Lane too.
Yeah, Steve was like,
as
you
a matter
know
of fact,
Derby?
I met Bethany at the BookNet Fest in Florida last year, and we briefly got to speak, and I was so disappointed because I was, seeing her for the first time, and I was very excited, but she was on her way to an event, and I was going in a separate direction. And luckily, we just have this really unique thing between us where our communication just hits at all the right times. And I have to give her full credit because she's the one who always reaches out and says, hey, I'm thinking about this. Do you want to do this? Or, hey, I'm going in a different direction with this, and I think you would be a good fit. So she's very meticulous with making sure that any collaborations that she does works very well and very fluidly. And that's why I respect her so much, because everything she puts together, in my opinion, is liquid gold, from her podcast to the content that she puts out on her channel. And I have so much admiration for her energy because she's a full-time mom. She works full-time from home, and then she still manages to do like 3 videos or more a week, not counting now she does these amazing energy sprints for writing and creating, and she's an all-around powerhouse woman.
Yeah, that's the reason why I had her on one of my episodes of Sunday Sit Downs, because I wanted to do a whole topic about being a parent and being a YouTuber. And basically, one of the main topics of conversation was, my God, woman, how do you do it? You are amazing. I got to know your secrets, because one day I'll have something running around here that looks like me to a certain degree. So I got to know things, No, I mean, I actually took a different approach. I actually, at one point, wanted to tell people that I was someone that you could come to for assistance. You could come to pick the brain, because I still remember it was like in 2014 when there was a big controversy about popular YouTubers who were accused of sexually assaulting younger YouTubers because they basically managed to manipulate them, and I think they were all caught. And it was just a sad thing for me to see, because I was already in my early 30s, and I was basically saying to myself, I'm not one of them. I'm something completely different. I'm actually someone that wants to nurture, wants to assist, wants to share, wants to see people grow. So I basically was the person who was seeking people out to assist. The funny thing is, there have been some people in the past that have basically said, you're not doing this to help them, you're doing this to help yourself, you're doing this to get your name out there. You know what? If that's actually something that happened, then call me guilty. Something, it's not about that. I want to help
you. Reached out to me when I was making when I only had 5 videos. So how would helping me help you at all? Nobody knew who I was. I didn't have any followers. Yeah. You were just being nice.
I felt the same way. I had under 100 subscribers the first time you and I connected, Steve, in terms of even communicating. You happened to stumble across one of my videos, and of course my channel has grown a little bit since then, but I feel that it's a mutual, I don't even look at it as a help. I don't think it's a help. It's just a mutual respect and collaboration, that we have a common interest, regardless of what that is, whether it's pop culture, Funko Pops, books. And we need to start seeing it as that. It's not a competition. It's not, I'm helping you, or I'm boosting myself, you're boosting we're helping each other. And again, that's kind of where I look at this sense of community. We're supposed to be a community, but everybody is constantly at each other's throats. There's just so much negativity behind the scenes that I don't understand where the sense of community comes from. There's cliques within this book environment that is very high school and sometimes even middle school. I wouldn't even give it high school credit, because people are more concerned again with a number count and a growth. And it's like, no, if I'm going to collaborate with you, I'm doing it because it's benefiting both of us. It's something I want to do. It's something you want to do. And then we're helping, bring attention to this subject, or maybe bring some more interest to this craft, or, whatever it is you're doing. People need to stop looking at it as gain or growth. If that happens from it, awesome. If it doesn't, then it's just one more thing out there. There's sometimes where I'll create content and I'll put it out in the universe, and it doesn't do anything for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, what? I did this 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden you guys are commenting and talking about it, but you just never know when something is going to be appealing to an audience, you know? So I just go.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because you want to know what's getting so many watches on my channel right now. My gnome doc for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I made that 5 years ago. Maybe, I don't know.
You know what? Ninja Turtles are awesome.
Well, there you go. You would know,
you know
that.
What my number one video is right now?
What is it?
My number one video right now is a video I made about Stephen King's The Stand versus Robert McCannon's Swan Song. And both of those are apocalyptic and have to do with like a virus or whatever. And so I made that video, I don't know, 2 years ago and didn't get any views. But in 2020, everybody's watching that video.
Wow, that's really funny.
This isn't what I would watch personally right now. I don't want to hear anything about that right now, but everybody's watching that video.
No, I mean, it's like when I take a look at just like a regular review of a movie on my channel, I don't get that many hits. I'd be lucky if I get 20 hits on each of those. But that's not the reason why. I don't care about that. I do this because my goal for this channel was to watch as many movies as I could, review as many movies as I could. And if people watch the video, great. If people don't watch the video, no problem. I mean, have there been some times where I was concerned about the numbers? To a certain degree, the answer is yes, but the reason behind it was because I wanted to do something special. I mean, Cammie knows this a lot because she bothered me about it in a great way. She's like, Steve, I want your shelf tour. Give me your shelf tour. And I said to her, Cammie, it's going to happen, but I got to hit 2,000 subscribers. And I promise you I'm going to do it. So I got that goal. And because I kind of felt that if I did it before I hit that number, then I was setting myself up to fail. That's really what it was. Like, she knows this because we've talked about this a lot this year. There were some days where I just wanted to quit, but I said to myself, I set out a goal to be 10 years strong in this format. I just wanted to accomplish that goal. And now I'm literally tiptoeing across the finish line right now. I'm doing a dance on it right now. It's just a matter of stepping over that line on December 31st. I'm going to get there. And I'm going to feel so great saying 10 years. Wow. Who would have thought, you know?
See, that's you doing this for you and not you doing this for other people.
Exactly. It's about having fun. That's what it's all about. And if people can just get good vibes from it, then power to them. You know, that's really what it is. I always feel that when it comes to the people who don't get the satisfaction that they want, or they find something that makes them upset or uncomfortable, my honest attitude is the fact that these are people that are already just coming into this looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Well, there are still genuine keyboard warriors that will just do nothing but look to be negative online. You have people, it doesn't matter what my video is that I upload, you will always have someone that dislikes it automatically just for the sake of disliking it. You will have somebody within the first day that puts a negative comment on there, probably someone you'll never see or talk to again, or their name changes constantly. And then really sadly, you have people that still make fake profiles that are within this community that do this just because they have nothing better to do than just be a troll in your world. And I don't understand that. If there is so many amazing things this world holds from all facets, all walks of life, why are we spending so much time in negative bubbles and trying to just be unkind and rude to people? Again, I go back to the sense of community. 2020 has been extremely difficult on everyone. There's no one that hasn't had a setback this year. You know, I've every single month from January to now, I have had some kind of really, like, again, something is going on. And I haven't uploaded a video on my personal channel since February because every time I think about it, I'm just like, nope, I don't want to do it. And then somebody will ask me, do you want to collab or do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I still have the zest and the intent to create. I still have the fire within me. There's still a million things that I want to talk about and a million things I want to complete. But 2020 has been extremely draining, and I give anyone kudos who has been able to actually produce solid content this year that isn't negative or, you know, ranty or, you know, just being them genuine selves, you know, like we're talking about, being who they are and talking about what they want to talk about without critique from other people. Just do what you're going to do and put it out there, and if people love it, great. If you don't love it, go watch somebody else's channel. There's 200 million other content creators. Why do you have to pick on people?
Exactly. I think I'll toot my own horn in this matter because I think I'm one of those few people that actually manage to keep my content constantly coming out. I mean, I was curious what was going to happen when movie theaters were officially closed, but I figured it out. I mean, like, I didn't even think I was going to see 20 movies at all this year, and I've already seen 21 new movies. I still can't believe that I've done that, and I think I'm going to end with...
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to end probably on 23 because Tenet's coming out on streaming services. So I'm going to be able to see Tenet finally. And it's still a new movie to a certain degree, so it counts.
Yeah.
From what I heard, probably next week, Cruise: A New Age is coming out on streaming, so I'll finally be able to see that. And of course, I'm so excited for Christmas Day because I'm going to be a good little Jewish boy and watch Wonder Woman 84 and eat Chinese food. It's going to be the greatest Christmas ever because I have HBO Max. So I'm going to see all three of those movies this year, and I know that, Cammie, you did say to me, Steve, you become everything you're against. Yes, it's true. I have to admit, but that's just because of the fact that I'm out of options. The theaters in my area are still closed, and I'm not going to spend
Mine are
much.
too.
I will literally have to spend $50 to go to a movie right now because it's going to include the gas, it's going to include the Easy Pass. Like, I'm going to be spending more money to do that. I'd rather just spend $20, if anything, on streaming services just because of the fact that more than one person will experience that movie right now. I mean, look, I was so angry because of what Disney announced 2 days ago with all those new Marvel and Disney programs and Pixar programs. And I said to Jen, fuck me. I have to get Disney Plus now. I have become everything I ever hated.
In my defense though, Steve, I made that comment prior to what seemed to be now like a second shutdown. I was not anticipating that because it was stated kind of media-wide that the second shutdown was supposed to happen back in October. So since it didn't happen, I wasn't prepared for what happened in November. And then it just seemed like everybody closed their doors again. So I kind of got on your case. I'm like, oh, okay, mister, I don't want anything digital now, going all digital. Why don't you just go to the damn movie theater? But that was neither here nor there. I don't blame you for doing what's normal. But I just don't expect you to stop buying physical media. That's all I meant, because when you stop doing that, then you will have given in to your final demon.
Oh, believe me, that is never, ever gonna stop. I promise you, because the only reason, first of all, I never took offense to your statement, Cammie. What I really wanted to do was I wanted to talk to you about it, because I had some reasoning behind it. I wanted to talk to you about it so badly, because right now, listening to so many people talking about how this is the end of theaters, I'm like, no. I can give you 3 goddamn reasons why that is false. And people just don't want to listen to me. But they're valid reasons, and they're actually real reasons that it's never going to happen. Because I said this before, this is just the abridged version. The people who weren't going to that don't want to go to the movie theaters and watch a new movie after the pandemic are people that didn't want to go to the movies to watch a new movie before the pandemic. That's the mentality. The people who want to go to movie theaters now are going to go to movie theaters. I personally think that what Warner Brothers and Disney are doing for 2021, because right now it looks like things are not going to get back to normal till earliest June, latest September. So basically the 2021 year for films, if they go strictly to theaters, is already in the freaking toilet. So why not? Because now people who are able to go to theaters, they will go to the theaters and see these blockbusters. The people who can't, or the people who never wanted to see a movie in theaters, now they don't have to wait for it to come out in like months and get it all spoiled for them. I think this is just something that's going to be beneficial for everybody. But there is no way in hell that these big Hollywood studios are going to let movie theaters die, because if they let them die, then they're not going to be able to make quality movies anymore. And I guarantee you that these actors are not going to take a pay cut.
Well, they're going to probably have to start doing it, because they have not been producing at all for 2020, with the exception of those actors that had got some gigs in Canada. But I mean, other than that, the US is pretty much shut down and will be for quite a while in terms of production.
Yeah, I promise you, these people will not change. They will not. They have been groomed so horribly to be what they are right now. There is no way they will take a pay cut. And if they want to keep making movies, then that's the only thing. I mean, that's all. I don't want to get into this because this is not the topic of conversation. This is something that we could do another time. But anyway, let's go into the fourth question, and that is, how do you feel about when you are being your genuine self, that it brings out a side of you that doesn't bode well with certain people? Now, we've basically been talking about that throughout this entire conversation, but now I really want to focus on that. Cammie, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that you're always going to say something that will surprise people or shock people, or people will stumble across some other way that they weren't really sure resonated with you or that you identified with. And then people, again, they take the automatic personal attack on things. And we really need to gravitate away from that in our society, of taking everything so personal. What I do, the choices that I make, the decisions I make, despite what all the memes say, does not impact you unless I'm specifically and personally doing it to you. The choices that I make, the decisions that I make, are because it makes sense in my environment, in my world, in my home. So, you know, as much as I would like to defend everything negative that comes my way, because I do have a justified reason for thinking the way I think or doing what I do, I don't have the energy anymore to devote to complete strangers to defend myself. Like I said, you know, from the beginning, when I created this channel, my intent wasn't to stand on a platform and tell everybody my life story. I'm not that type of person. And I'm also not of that generation. I will never share every facet of who I am, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. Now, if in a more private setting, somebody wants to have an offline conversation with me, or a healthy debate, or whatever they want to call it, I'll be more than happy to engage with that within reason. But I don't think that you're ever going to have a perfect content creator that will be on any type of platform with any given subject and appease the masses. You can't make everybody happy, and we have to stop trying to do that, because we are running ourselves into the ground by trying to appease everyone. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to have a perfect platform. You're never going to not say something that someone somewhere is going to take offense to. And if I had a dime for a shoot, even at this moment in time, a penny for every time I said something or did something, or, you know, supported someone or didn't support someone because of something going on, I would be a very rich individual. But I think that we need to, you know, in absence of not being self-centered and self-righteous, we just need to do what makes us happy on our platforms. And when you are your genuine true self and you speak your truth, you'll find your tribe, you'll find your community. And, you know, I don't want to contradict what I said earlier and cultivate this bubble, you know, where I only have like-minded individuals, because I don't try to create content that comes with any type of animosity or any type of barriers. I try to create very generalized content. That's why I don't have a channel where I talk about politics or religion or world events or, you know, all of these things. And I think it's become very nomenclature for people to say, but you need to integrate all of that into your channel because that's just where we are in a society. No, you don't. And you don't need to feel pressured to do that. If you created a channel to talk about movies and that's all you want to talk about, then you don't have to listen to everyone else and what they think you should be doing. You do you and let everyone else do them. And again, if people want to watch you because all you want to do is talk about movies, great, welcome. But if people just want to be negative and send negative energy your way, then, you know, again, I go back to, there's 100 million other content creators out there. Go find someone who's doing exactly what you want them to be doing and saying it the way you want it to be said.
Yeah, I think one of the few things that some people have taken offense to is my attitude on life, pretty much when I decided that I was going to get married. And that is the fact that I basically told a lot of people that you don't matter to me as much as you used to, because unfortunately, I have to worry about myself a little bit more right now. And one of the few things that I heard from my father, specifically when I was growing up, is he hated the fact that I always went out of my way to help others, because he said to me, you're not taking care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're never going to truly find what makes you happy. And that's what I keep trying to say to people. I burned bridges because of the fact that people I offended someone because of the fact that I had a midterm coming up in graduate school and said that I have to stay home and study. I can't come to your birthday party. I'm sorry. That person called me selfish because of that. Clearly, that person's not friends with me anymore. But the point that I'm making here is
That's
that...
what I mean. I mean, people can get downright petty sometimes when it comes to things that they choose to dwell on. So my thing is I don't dwell on that negativity anymore. I might laugh it off. I might say something, I might not. But sometimes silence is golden, and sometimes the best thing to do is not to say anything at all, because that really pisses people off too.
Yeah, because like, oh man, I can go on so many levels. It's like I'd rather care about how much money is in my bank account than money I have to give to unfortunate people. I'm like, I know it's the holiday season and everything, but oh man, when I see that Salvation Army bell ring, I said, yeah, you keep ringing that bell, honey. I'm not giving you the money. I need this money. I'm sorry. This is just my attitude. I have to buy gifts for my 4 nieces. I have to make sure that my bills are paid. I have to make sure that there's food on my table. If I had $1 million, then yes, I would give you some of this money, but I don't have it. That's one of the few things that people need to understand.
I always give money to the Salvation Army. I don't
Congratulations,
care how much I am.
you are the better person. I'm unfortunately a selfish bastard.
That doesn't make me a better person. It's just, you know, the way I see it is everyone is blessed to be a blessing in their own way. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to give up yourself monetarily. That doesn't mean that you have to give your material possessions away. That just means sometimes that you're volunteering your time, your kind words, doing a kind gesture. Just because you don't give someone $1 doesn't mean you can't hold the door open for the person working for the Salvation Army to take their money bucket in at the end of their shift, you know.
Oh, of course.
Kindness goes in all forms, and kindness isn't just money. And I think that sometimes we in our society are so skewed about what it is to be kind or to be generous or to be, you know, self-serving or selfless and all of these things. The lines are so blurred anymore because there's so many definitions based on morals, values, and principles that we're not respecting each other for that. And it's fine for you to think the way that you think, and it's fine for me to think the way that I think. And guess what? We're still friends at the end of the day. Exactly. You know, it's a really strange place to be right now.
I know. I mean, one of the few things that I learned a long time ago is it doesn't matter what the scenario is, whether if you're going to get a cup of coffee or if someone did something for you, like for your yard or something like that. It's like there is 3 words that will mean the world to everybody, and that is, you're so kind. A simple phrase like that, or a simple thank you, or just a smile on your face in front of another person moves mountains for other people. It's not just about the money. You're absolutely right, Cammie.
And you know, the saddest thing in 2020 for me, as we have evolved into wearing masks in our country, is the inability to share smiles with people. So it's so funny that you say that, because I miss the ability to be able to share a smile with someone who you can tell is frustrated, who you can tell is having a bad day, or even a child. I hate not being able to smile at a child, you know, and just see that reaction back in their eyes. So yeah, I miss it. I miss being able to share the very simple things in life. And a smile goes a long way, and just
know.
a small gesture of kindness does the same.
It wrecks me because I am a little bitch. Like, I don't take criticism well at all. It wrecks me. So I would rather avoid getting myself into a situation where somebody could say something mean to me, because once they say something mean to me, I break down and I'm like ruined. I'm just a big old baby. So I have another, you guys know, I have another channel where I talk about like the Second Amendment, guns and stuff like that.
Yes.
On that channel, because I'll show outfits, like things that you can, how to like wear your gun in certain outfits and certain holsters, things like that. And I will get some downright disgusting comments on that channel, like from men, and like crazy things, and people telling me I should shoot myself in the face, like crazy, crazy comments. And whenever I get those comments, instead of being normal and an adult and just brushing it off and being like, oh, well, those people are stupid, it wrecks me. And then I'll stop filming for months because I don't want to deal with the comments. I've even turned off all the comments to where I can't see them. I don't want to read them. I don't want to know, because I'm such a little bitch. So I will avoid, like, with all the stuff that goes on BookTube all the time, there's always cycles of bullshit going on. I avoid all of it, and I would rather just not film at all and back away and not even be there in that space than have, you know, than me put something out that somebody can pick on or say something nasty about. So I go away. I avoid it.
Isn't it weird that the people who make the negative comments are the people that seem to have like next to no followers themselves?
Sometimes.
But that's the whole trend of it, that they're trying to gain that 15 minutes of fame by piggybacking off the next dramatic, you know, topic or whatever. And you can tell there is genuine people who thrive on subtweeting and retweeting problematic subject matter. And I hate that term, but that's exactly what it is, because they themselves aren't getting the exposure or the attention that they want. And so they're putting themselves in this situation, but people are getting smarter and they're seeing these specific people pop up in all of these problem situations. And when people look back, you know, 6 months, a year from now, maybe more, however long it takes them, they're going to see that maybe the person that was made to be the bad person wasn't so bad after all. Look at all the people that are hating on that person. Guaranteed they're the same group of, or the same mob that continually does that in every situation. But again, people are getting smarter and they're seeing this. But I just wanted to comment on what Stacy just said, and it's also very important in our community because Stacy doesn't handle confrontation well. I know that firsthand. I've seen it happen to her where she'll get a comment and then, you know, we'll talk about it offline. And I'm like, why do you let it get to you? It's not even that big of a deal. And I just kind of brush it off. I'm just one of those people. But she'll sure as hell go to bat for you if you're in a bad situation. Because trust me, I've seen it happen. You know, where I'm having a bad situation and she'll just come out like with this mama bear mentality and just eat these people alive. And I'm like, wow, why didn't you do that for yourself? But as a community, we need to also look at that, and the importance of that is that not everyone wants to be confrontational. Not everybody can handle negativity or negative environments, negative spaces. So, you know, all of this plea and all of this desire to not coddle, but comfort, I guess, you know, the stability of mental health in our community. Why are we such a mean-spirited community that encourages people to jump on these hateful bandwagons when it comes to societal subject matter or, you know, things that are going on in the world? And people, all they simply say is, well, I don't want to deal with that on my channel. That's not what I created my channel for. And then they still hate on them. And they're like, but I do this because I want to escape what's going on out there. I do this because this is my happy place. And by bringing that here, I'm clouding this. And this isn't my happy place anymore. But then what happens? They screenshot your channel. They screenshot your social profile. They put it out there. This person doesn't want to talk about this. This person, and it baffles me though, because here we are as the individual protecting our mental health and our own, you know, livelihood, for goodness sakes, I had a stroke this summer. I know the implications of letting stress and the world get to you. And that was me taking on somebody else's problem, not even my own problem. I just let it escalate to a point that my body said, you need to just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
So my point of this is that we are preaching one thing, but we are practicing another in this community. And if we are going to be a genuine, true community of supporters, we need to support every level of this and every type of personality and ability. We're not doing that. We're being selective, and we're being very tricky about who we choose to pick on and who we choose to protect. And that's got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still hilarious. I think what makes me laugh the most is the fact that I'm still waiting for like one specific person, and by that I don't mean an actual person. I'm just like waiting to get like negative feedback from a certain person, and then I want to see that person like negatively comment on like 5 more of my videos, just so I can respond by saying, will you just shut the fuck up and go get laid already, because you desperately need something like that right now. That's all that I'm going to say. These basement virgins, which is what I like to call them, really need to take a step back and really take a good look at inside themselves and realize what they're doing, and that it's not healthy for them. But I'm so glad that you brought that up, Cammie, because not only does this lead into the next question, but it is also something that Stacy actually did for me. And that is, how do you feel about people that are basically putting on armor and masks, so to speak, for the sake of appeasement? And how do you think that that is something that affects their characters? Because one of the few things that seems to piss off a lot of people is neutrality on an opinion. Like, you don't want to take a side because you have no reason to, because either you have no knowledge or you just don't fucking care. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because of the fact that Stacy once reached out to me and said, Steve, some dickwad snapped your comment on a controversial video. And they want to know why I got so much negative feedback from that. It was because I didn't say anything negative to the person who made the video because of her controversial comment. I had no opinion. I took something
That's
from the
not
video.
acceptable. You have to have their opinion.
I took something from the video that I agreed upon, and I gave my comment. The rest of that video, I did watch it, but it was just something I didn't have an opinion on. I don't have knowledge about it. I don't have any way to truly defend it. That's just my overall attitude. People need to understand that if you have no opinion, that's okay. Let it be.
They don't see it that way. They don't see that. You need to educate yourself, Steve. Don't you know that?
Yeah.
You need to get educated.
Check yourself.
And you need to learn what they want you to learn.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself, Steve.
What am I being?
Yeah.
Am I being too controversial right now? Am I actually making people nervous?
No.
I'm kidding.
I was piggybacking off of what Stacy was saying. No, but I mean, that's the issue. I liken what you said, Steve, to sharing a video on social media, because you can only, well, I mean, typically you see anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes of a video that's shared on a social platform. And it's assumed you know the whole story of what happened before that led to that moment, and then you know what's going to happen afterwards just by seeing that. But you don't know the individuals, you don't know their history. And so you take something like what you did, you watch a full video, I'm presuming it was like a 20-minute video, you know, more or less, and then you choose to comment on one portion of it, either that relates to you or that you feel the need to comment on, but you don't comment on the rest of it. And then now you're a target because you're not saying what everybody else is saying in the comments. And it's like, well, I don't have an opinion on that because I don't know what's going on, or I haven't looked into it. I haven't fact checked yet. You know, oh, God forbid someone should actually do research before they make a public comment about something. But then you become the witch that is slain up and burned at the stake because you're choosing to only say something in reference to one area of it and not the whole thing. And again, why are we so focused on, other people. I can understand if the comment that you made in the comments was threatening to someone else, or was, intentionally hateful, or, of all these other negative connotation. But if you're just simply making a comment, people need to stop feeling like they own the right to go in and screenshot things and share them with the world without your consent, or without even trying to have a conversation with you. Because I can guarantee you there's more to what you said or what you shared or didn't say in some cases than what they chose to capture in a moment. But we're not doing this anymore. And it just blows my mind how often this happens now.
Yeah, and on top of
A
that,
lot.
yeah, and on top of that, the other part of this question was about putting on a fake persona for the sake of appeasement. Here's the thing. When I heard that that actually happened, I tried to find that person and talk to that person. I even made a video right away basically saying, come at me, bro, what's up? And the best part is, these people are cowards. They're like King Arthur and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Run away, because I can't accept confrontation. You want to know what that says to me? It means you have no way to back up your claim. You have no way to come at me. You can't fight me on this because you know you're in for a losing battle.
Cultivates that social environment that I was talking about, that we saw start in the Facebook environment, where you have like-minded individuals, you have like-minded followers, and then the minute somebody comes at you with an opposing viewpoint or something from an opposite perspective, and they challenge what you said, or they just simply sometimes ask, I'm sorry, where did you get your fact from? Or what's your basis of that statement? If they don't come back at you, that means they have nothing. They don't either. I mean, and I know in some cases people don't want to be confrontational. They just don't want to argue with you. But that is what it comes to. People will argue with you until they are satisfied with their side, but they don't want to hear the opposing viewpoint. They don't want to have a constructive conversation. They don't want to come to an impasse. They don't want to come to a point of contingency where we can agree to disagree and still walk away, civilized human beings. It doesn't work that way anymore. And it's just really sad to have watched the demise of our civilization like that.
Absolutely. It's so weird sometimes. I mean, it's like I am always willing to talk to someone in regards to something I might have said that you may think is not something that is within your thought process or just you don't agree with. But if you don't understand where I'm coming from, you're never going to understand why I said what I said. Now, are there times when I may have said something where I realized that I was wrong? Sure. And have I actually apologized and walked those things back? Absolutely. Because I realized, okay, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It's happened before, and not just on social media. It's happened in real life. And that's just me sometimes. Look, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's the truth. But it's like you go onto my Twitter page and I don't have my pronouns up there, or I don't have a little black square on my thing. I'm just like saying to myself, you really think that just because of the fact that I don't have those things, I don't respect the LGBTQ community and I don't respect the Black community? How dare you? I will be more than happy to talk about those types of topics with anyone who's willing to talk to me about that. And quite frankly, if you talk to me about those things, you'll probably agree with me a lot more than you think you do. You just don't know me. You just don't want to have that conversation because you're afraid that you're going to look like an idiot.
A lot of the times people don't want to take the time to get to know people, though. We are now programmed to listen and hear people to the point of, that's where I want to interject my point. We're not listening to hear people to understand, we're listening to respond, and we need to stop communicating like that. We need to be willing to listen and absorb what the other side has to say and have healthy banter to share. It's okay to share your point of view, even if it's opposing with the other person. That's how you learn and grow. But if we're constantly shutting people down or turning people away because they don't think like us, or they don't want to get to know the other side of us or more about us, then they're always going to think what they think in that moment, again, assumed on one comment or one caption or one meme or tweet or you know, whatever the case may be, and they'll never really know who you are. So, you know, when people do what was done to me recently, you know, yeah, at first it was a huge slap in the face, like, wow, I did not expect that. I did not see that coming. But then once I had a couple of days to process it, I was so grateful that it happened, because it really allowed me to see who is genuine and who was fake all along, who my people were and who weren't my people, who were just there for whatever benefits, you know, that they could get out of it. But in the same respect, it helped me to cultivate how I move forward and how I handle social situations, because I was really very trustworthy of people, and I shouldn't have been that trustworthy. You have to be a bit cautious in today's day and age, because not everyone is going to be your friend. Not everyone is designed to be your friend, and not everyone is here for good intentions. And when you set yourself up with no protection, you're gonna get struck, and it can be a little gut-wrenching. But once it happens, it does give you some exterior tough skin, and it kind of prepares you for that next leg. And so now looking back on it, you know, I set myself up? Yeah, because I allowed people into my space that I thought were friends. But moving forward, now I know how I want to handle situations like that, and I won't be as, you know, passe about assuming everyone is there for good intentions.
If you're seriously going to be that type of person, and you really don't want to even get to know me or just like learn as to why I say what I say, then you never should have made the comment in the first place. That's the truth of the matter. So we'll go into the sixth question, and Stacy, we'll start with you on this one, and that is, given the current YouTube climate, do you think that this is a place these days where we can actually be our truthful selves, or do we actually have to put on, and there's the answer.
Silly boy. Jeez. Well, I think if you're not a part of the status quo and you want to be your true, genuine self, then you have to have really tough skin. So go into it knowing those things, because if you're someone like me, it'll wreck you, and it's not worth it to me. That makes it not fun. If I'm too scared, you know, if I'm making a book video and I'm too scared of, you know, saying something that's gonna get me in trouble later and not even realizing I said whatever it is, I'd rather just not even film. I'd rather just not even put it out there and make the video, because I don't want to deal with the backlash. And so unless you have really tough skin, if you want to be different from the rest of the crowd, be ready for it, be prepared for it. Yeah. And kudos to those people who can do it. I wish we had more people that were willing to stand up for, you know, their own beliefs and stuff without being terrified. I wish everybody was like that. And I think that there are people that are going along with the status quo that probably aren't in that same camp, but they're doing it because they're scared not to. And that's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a person like that, then I wouldn't keep my reviews for Dances with Wolves, Apocalypse Now, and Full Metal Jacket up on my channel. Those are still videos I get tons of hits for and tons of hate for. And I'm just like,
yes, I would delete them.
I don't care. I like to see what people actually have to say, because I love so many people reaching out to me on my Dances with Wolves videos that you have no idea what a good movie is. Like, I'm sorry, but that movie was a fucking snooze fest. I didn't have any good feelings from this movie. I think that there's more life in a piece of cardboard than Kevin Costner, and that's the way I've always felt about him, unfortunately. He just happens to be an actor who's a freaking genius and surrounds himself with a very good supporting cast to make him look as if he's not noticed, and everybody else enjoys everything else about those movies. That's why Kevin Costner's movies are so successful. But
I just enjoy looking at them, man. So as long as he's on screen, he could be licking a piece of toast, and that's good enough for me.
Oh, I'd love to see him do that in this next movie. Yes, I actually just want to see that for the sake of seeing him do that. That's all I'm gonna say. I just want to see. Now I officially want to see Kevin Costner lick toast. That just seems entertaining. Anyway, where I was going with this was I just put out a video for a new movie that I just watched on Amazon called Sound of Metal. It's a very interesting movie, and the funny thing was I didn't get any hate for it, but I got a comment saying, why didn't you mention this specific thing about the movie? And honestly, I just didn't see the reason to say anything about that because I just felt that it was common sense. Not to say that it was a bad thing, but the truth of the matter is the movie is about a drummer for a metal duo that loses his hearing, and he actually spends some time with a deaf community. The biggest thing was the fact that they actually brought deaf people to star as the deaf people in this movie. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you do that?
I can see your commenter's point of view. To you, it might just be common sense, but that is something that is pretty exemplary because sometimes that doesn't happen. And that happened in the book community, I want to say last year, where there was a movie opportunity for, I believe the movie was The Hate You Give for the book, and they invited white booktubers to be extras in the movie and not Black content creators. So yeah, it is kind of important to mention something like that when it does go above and beyond, because one would expect that people that are actually hearing impaired would be invited to be extras in that, you know, that position because they fit the role the best, but that's not always the opportunity that's given. So, you know, where someone on the flip side might say, well, Steve, that's you giving your privilege, you know, the pat on the back, because to you it's matter of fact, but to someone else that's liquid gold. So I get where the narrative should change sometime in our society, and we could say things better, or we could point things out, or we could be, you know, more appreciative of something. So in that regard, maybe just responding to that person as well, you know, to me it's common sense, but I certainly can understand, you know, the importance of that role. And, you know, you've got to be able to play both sides. You've got to be able to positively see why it's important to that person, where maybe it's just, you know, matter of fact to you. So again, it's all in how you say it.
That I agree with you on that. And the truth of the matter is the person who gave me the comment was actually someone who I truly appreciate and respect. This person comments on a lot of my videos. And I believe that my response was, as a matter of fact, the reason why I didn't say it is because everybody else said it. You know, like I know that it's there, I acknowledge it, but I just, and the other thing is, there are some times where I will make a video and then I will finish the video and I'm like, oh, damn it, I forgot to say that thing. That's kind of important. I completely forgot to actually mention it. I could have actually said it, but I just completely forgot to say it. And the reason why was because I personally didn't think the movie was great because I just didn't like the way the third act went. And you can watch my review for that movie whenever you get a chance. I think that I appreciated the fact that I discussed it in that manner, but I think that it's also a movie, and I always say at the end, if I don't like a movie that I review, that doesn't mean you can't like it. You can go watch it and you can then send me a message and you can tell me, what did I miss? What is it about this movie that I missed that makes it so great? Tell me.
I do that.
Remember when I did that to you with the Motley Crue biopic?
Oh, you came at me with the wrath of 1,000 suns. You really, really did.
Did you diss Motley Crue?
That was the first time I was. Yes, he dissed that movie hardcore. That was the first time I publicly negatively went at him without hitting him with a sideline or a sidebar. And I told him exactly what I thought of him. And he was just like, whoa, tell me how you really feel here, Cam. I was mad. Do not come at my crew like that.
That's the thing. I am not the biggest Motley Crue fan. And my attitude about it was not the fact that the biopic was made, it was the fact that I wished it could have been executed better. And you know something? There are so many people out there that hate Bohemian Rhapsody. And I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was incredible. But I'm not going to tell them that you're a bad person because you think that way. And that's not me basically saying that that's my attitude towards you, Cami, because of our conflicting attitudes towards The Dirt. But the point that I'm making is you loved the movie. I didn't care for the movie. It's not because I didn't appreciate the actors or appreciate the story. I just felt that there was a lot of potential there that was lost. And as a film watcher and as a growing film appreciator, I just wanted that movie to be better. Plain and simple.
I need to watch it. I'll watch it and I'll weigh in and say which one of you is right.
At least from his perspective, he just told you he wanted it to be more of a film. I'm telling you right now, from a music perspective, it wasn't for awards. It wasn't for recognition for, any type of like Oscar or whatever the case may be. It was for the fans, and the fans, the true die-hard fans of Motley Crue that are true blue, appreciated that movie because it told the story the way the four guys who started the band wanted it to be told. And for that, it was an effing no, I'm gonna say it because it's Motley Crue. It was a fucking great movie, Steve.
But I'm happy that you feel that way. I'm glad that it connected with the true fans. I mean, look, I actually have seen Motley Crue in concert. They just happened to be the opening act for the third time I went to see Aerosmith. And I will not deny the fact that I thought that their performance was better than Aerosmith's, because Aerosmith doesn't have the rotating upside down drum set. They don't have the motorcycle on stage during Girls, Girls, Girls. The performance was beautiful. And I've seen the behind the music of Motley Crue. I think that their story is amazing. Like, the fact that those guys are still alive is a miracle from the gods. But I just was, well, to be frank, the other thing that really upset me about that movie was that it came straight to Netflix. I wanted that to be a big screen. I want every biopic in the world of music to be a big screen debut. That's what I truly want.
So that was the original intent when The Dirt was created in book form. That the original intent was for Nikki to create it and to put it out there on the big screen, but it just never worked out commercially for that to happen. So the best way for them to tell the story the way that they wanted it told was to do it through Netflix, because they had a lot more creative control, and that's why it happened the way that it did.
I did not know that. Thank you. You see the example that's happening here, everybody? Have you noticed that Cammie and I are still friends, even though we disagree on this matter? Do you see what's going on here? This is the point that I'm making. I guess that's going to lead into the last question. We're heading into a new year after a truly unforgettable one that I think we all wish that we could forget, but we unfortunately never will. As well as the fact that there is a big change coming from the last 4 years. So my question is, what do you feel will happen to YouTube and content creation here moving forward?
I think we're already starting to see a change and a shift in YouTube content. And I think that started with COPPA compliance. I think that when that happened, that really changed the dynamic of how creators came to the table, because people were so conscientious of how they were speaking, what, pray tell their audience might be, what their backgrounds were, what their props were. There was just so much put to the forefront and extra added pressures and stress to the content creator that people kind of, well, for one, they backed away from it for a while. And then when they did come back, there was a shift, there was a change, there was a vibe. And I think that when that initiated, that kind of had content creators looking for other platforms to go and produce content creation. That led a lot of people to Twitch. It did shift people to putting things out there for people to see that didn't have the same constraints that YouTube has. And I think that YouTube, being the big corporate giant that it is, sometimes people forget that, despite how big or how small your channel might be, you're still part of a corporate entity, and YouTube owns you and your content that you want to put out there. And when something happens and something goes astray, where you get a nick on your channel, or you get dinged for something, or a violation, or people get very defensive, like, hey, hold on, this is mine. But you're giving YouTube the right. There's so often that we check these boxes or we consent to things and we don't realize all of the fine print behind that. So, that said, I just think that in addition to all of the compliance changes, all of the rules and regulations, and the way that YouTube kind of just dismisses content creators in terms of, well, hey, you know, you signed up for this, you agreed to this, so, you know, if we hit you with something that is in violation, you're responsible, and we're not going to go to bat for you at the end of the day. It is going to force people to create off, you know, other, or do other ventures on other sites. In terms of the climate control for society and what the next leg of this holds, I think 2020 was the tip of the iceberg. And if people didn't learn anything from 2020, they had blinders on.
Yeah.
2020 was probably the most exposing year of my life in terms of seeing people for their true selves. People came out and showed their true colors. When you force people to quarantine and stay home and use the resources that they have, people are either going to get really creative or really honest or really just both. And you're either going to love people more, or you're going to see things about people that you don't necessarily like or jive with. And so there is a huge division in our society, and I think there's going to continue to, you're going to see those divisions everywhere. There's a lot of talk of unity and coming together, but again, what we're saying and what we're doing are two very different things. And so I honestly, I have hope, because I would like to think that I'm not pessimistic, I'm optimistic. And I'd like to think that, you know, that there is hope potentially for the future, but we have a lot of change to do within ourselves. We have a lot of reflection that we need to do if we're going to use terms like community and collaboration and these sorts of things. Because if we continue to allow people to scrutinize people and to you know, just really put people through the meat grinder, then why are you here? You know, I mean, for me, this was supposed to be something that was fun, and it was a release from the real world, and it allowed me to have, you know, an opportunity to find people that enjoyed some of the same things and some of the same hobbies that I had. But if it's going to continuously cultivate an environment of negativity, then I'm going to separate myself from the community and just focus on being a creator, because you don't need other people to be yourself. You can stand on your own 2 feet, you can create your content, you can put things out into the universe. How much of yourself you choose to give back to other people is up to you. But if people continue to feed you negativity, at some point you're just going to have to tell yourself, I'm going to keep my circle small, and I'm going to continue to make it smaller if I keep seeing the same things. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. I think a lot of people are really just reevaluating their place here, and in addition to their place, who they want to include in their circles. Because you're seeing a lot of change from a lot of people, and that's across the board. I've even seen people completely change their content altogether. There's some people that don't even want to be part of the book community anymore. And I don't blame them, you know? I love books, I'm a reader, I'm an avid reader, so it'll always be a part of my channel, but I'm not going to let other people dictate what I choose to talk about. You know, I want to talk about other things, movies and pop culture and things like that. So that's what I'm going to focus on. What brings me joy? If that brings you joy by watching what I create, all the more better. But if it's not your cup of tea, then that's okay. Like I said, there's a million other creators out there for people to watch and find. And I hope that everybody finds whom they enjoy watching. But there will be a shift, and this was only the beginning.
And Stacy, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this matter, merely because of the fact that you haven't made any content in a while. And as much as I am craving to see content from you, I don't know if that my wish will ever be granted. My question is, where do you feel that we are heading right now, based on everything that has been happening in these past couple of years?
Well, I see a lot more censorship coming from YouTube itself. They, you know, have gotten into the business of censoring, you know, people or videos that they don't agree with. And I don't agree with that. I'm very much pro First Amendment and free speech and all that. And I don't agree with censorship of any kind ever. So I see that happening a lot. It's happening a lot right now. So I imagine with the new administration, it's going to get worse, more censorship. And yeah, I do see kind of a exodus of people leaving YouTube for easier, more free platforms. A lot of new platforms have popped up this year that people are migrating to. You know, you have Parler now instead of Twitter, and you have MeWe instead of Facebook. And I think a lot of people are using Instagram stories now because it's just easy to do. And so yeah, I see a lot of change that way, just changing platforms. So,
well,
yeah.
One of the interesting things that I am thinking about is, especially considering the fact that Facebook is pretty much now under the extremely watchful eye of the government, and I think under the soon-to-be administration, there's going to be a lot cracking down on them. I actually do think that all the things that they have absorbed, they're going to be releasing them. My attitude is that Google's next, and I actually have a feeling that Google might actually be forced to dump YouTube if the Facebook thing that they're trying to accomplish actually happens in the government's favor.
Right.
And they break up the monopoly. I seriously see YouTube being cut loose from Google. And if that's going to be the case, YouTube might seriously have to start thinking we may have to go back to basics. We may actually have to let people do their thing again, because we're not making the money that Google was actually helping us make. We literally have to start from scratch. And
there's too many other options now. You don't have to stay here.
Exactly. But I stay here because I like to watch the others squirm. I just love to watch them reel around in agony. It makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I am higher than them, and the fact that they got to learn a lot. They got to grow up. I mean, I'm much older than most of these people, and I just need them to finally, I guess the right way to say it is, get it, you know, figure it all out, and realize that the three of us can definitely remember this line from the great Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World: life is hard, get a helmet.
That show, that was a great show.
It has the greatest series finale of all time, in my opinion.
It does, honestly. But I do think that speaks volumes, though, to the age gap. I think that a lot of times people assume that age is similar across the masses or across the board in this community. And yes, there's a great number of content creators within the book community that are of the same age. But if you are, you know, below or above that, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you're better or anything like that. It just means that you've been around the block a few times and that you've learned from your mistakes. Exactly. And that the things that bother the generation below us doesn't necessarily resonate with you because you have more important things to do. You have bigger fish to fry, as they say. And I think that a lot of the times comes off as prudish or condescending, or at least that's how it's resonated in my world. Like, oh, you know, you're such a prude because this doesn't affect you. And it's like, it doesn't affect me because I'm beyond that. You know, I've moved beyond that. There's honestly more important things in my world. And that's why I haven't created any content this year, because there has been so many bigger than life issues that I need to focus on instead of creating content. And so it just really comes with, again, not assuming that you know the person because they look a certain age or that they're of a certain background or a certain ethnicity or a certain race or a certain demographic or a certain gender. We need to stop assuming that looking at somebody tells the whole story, or that something that someone chooses to share about that person who doesn't know them from Adam is the whole story. So again, it's getting back to the basics of community. And if you genuinely want to connect with people, get to know people and not through other people. Get to know the person yourself, one-on-one. Let's talk. That's how we became friends, you know. Hey, I like your content. And then we would comment on each other's videos. And then, hey, let's talk offline. And that's how friendships are created, how bonds are formed, and how trust is made.
And with that, that concludes this episode of Sunday Sit Downs. But as they say, when one door closes, another one opens. Cammie, Stacy, did you both enjoy yourselves today?
Yeah.
I did. I finally felt like I got some stuff off my chest.
Good, because to all of you out there who will be watching this video, I want you to get a good look at the three people in this room. Because in January of 2021, my channel is officially going to be heading into its newest chapter. All of those things that you have seen from me on a monthly basis, the Up From the Underground channel, the one that got away, the fandom feature, all of that is officially going to be condensed into a brand new end of the month show. And I couldn't be more excited and proud to have these two amazing people as my co-hosts. I'd like to announce the old, the new, and the awesome. That is going to be our monthly 2-hour max talk show, and we are going to cover it all. We're going to talk about movies that we've watched, TV shows that we're watching, books that we're reading, things that we're collecting, and we're going to be our genuine selves. So if you can't stand the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. End of story. Because there is no safe space here. There are no filters. There's no shame. And you want to know what the scariest thing is? People might actually watch. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to all of you who have watched Sunday Sit-Downs for the last 3 years. It has been an absolute pleasure to have these amazing conversations with amazing YouTubers. But I also, with the two people present, as well as all of the other people who came to be a guest on this show, whether I'm still talking to you or whether we unfortunately parted ways, I appreciate you for who you are. I appreciate you for the fact that you dedicated your time to just have a nice casual conversation with me. And I am so excited for 2021, knowing that I may not be making as much content in the future, but the best part about it is the fact that I'm going to be making content with the help of some great friends. And as far as I'm concerned, that is what community is truly all about. So once again, thank you, Cammie, thank you, Stacy, and thank you to all of you who enjoyed Sunday Sit-Downs tonight. I bid you all a farewell, but I will still see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.